Hey everybody, this is Ryan Mallory, and we're going to talk about the electric car stocks today. Not so much about Tesla, because there's 100 videos probably. Not quite 100, but there's a lot of videos that I've done on Tesla over the last few months. So I don't want to spend too much time on Tesla. Those videos speak for themselves. There's no major updates besides the fact that I did get long on Tesla on this breakout of the triangle. I had talked about it before in my previous update that I don't necessarily want to buy off of this rising trend line because I don't know if it's actually going to break out. And if it doesn't, that doesn't make for a very good risk reward because it could just keep bouncing back and forth in this triangle. So I didn't want to get long on there. I wanted to get long on a breakout of that triangle. I know that sounds a little bit crazy because you could say, well, Ryan, you could have been getting in under $400 and then you could ride that breakout higher. But at the time, you don't know if it's going to break out or not. If you don't know it's going to continue with that trend of just staying inside that triangle or not, and it can create a lot of chop and a lot of unnecessary time of tying up your capital in a trade that you don't need to be in. Instead, I waited for the breakout of that triangle. Who knows? It may go up back up to 500. That's what the plan is. But if it doesn't, I have a stop loss. And if that stop loss will hit, then I'm out of the trade. That's fine. I'll move on to the next trade. I don't care that it's an electric car stock. I don't care if it's a hyped up stock. I just care if it's a very good trade setup. And right now, I like that trade setup. It's the first time I've traded it in a very long time. And so I'm jumping long here. But enough about Tesla. Let's get into the other ones. You have NIO, you have Nikola, you have Niu Technologies, you have Li Auto. Which ones should we be really highlighting here? And there's some scandals going on. There's just all sorts of crazy things. Let's talk about all of that right now. Now, each month I try to highlight some stocks that I want you to focus on for the upcoming month. We're now in October. In September, it was Nvidia, it was Twitter, it was Adobe, and Square. Of all those stocks, Square did amazing. Twitter did pretty awesome too. So it was a good month for those tech stocks. Now I'm gonna focus more so on these electric stocks because everybody's up in arms about it. So let's start with the first one, NIO, N-I-O. NIO has been very consistent from a technical standpoint. First, you have a triangle pattern that formed back in July and persisted all the way through August before it finally broke out to the upside in a big way, and then you formed another triangle. Essentially, it was like a 2-day breakout before the next triangle formed. And then another triangle almost identical to the one that we saw before has formed. And then we got a breakout on Tuesday and it looks almost exactly like the previous breakout. So I'm not sure how high this thing goes, but the best thing to do is you have this rising trend line, very steep and very short term. Off of the September 24th lows, you just draw a rising trend line just like I'm showing you here on the chart. As soon as it breaks and closes below it, you go ahead and get out of the stock. You can't put a lot of faith in these stocks. I know a lot of us want to hold these stocks and hope that they go up to $2,000 a share. Most stocks don't do that, okay? And you have a lot of stocks right now with some crazy valuations, and stocks like NIO that have made just massive moves. It's just not like a stock here and a stock there that has made these massive moves like what NIO has done during this pandemic, going from like $2 a share all the way up to $21 a share. You have stocks in every industry that's doing this kind of stuff. And the last time we saw something like that was in the dot-com bubble. So you don't want to think that something's unique about NIO that's making this thing ramp up to incredible heights. So when you trade these kind of stocks, you gotta have a tight stop loss. And so the best way to do it right now, so that you don't lose too much money on your profits, is to follow the steep trend line that I've outlined here. Once it closes below it, I would go ahead and get out of it. It starts to really break hard below it, get out before the close. But overall, I like both of these triangle breakouts, and ideally if it makes another consolidation pattern for a month or so, that's even better because it'll give you another opportunity to get long. However, if you didn't get long on this breakout, and obviously this video is after the fact, there is a secondary breakout opportunity here. You have a nice layer of resistance that's going across, going back to August. It broke above it yesterday. However, it hasn't really definitively broken above it. So there's a good chance with any kind of market weakness, it's going to pull back to this breakout level and give you another opportunity to get long. If you're really desperate to get into this stock, that's what I would probably target. Ideally, it would be nice if it pulled back to the triangle breakout level, but there's really no guarantees at this point as long as the market momentum holds up that that's going to happen. Now you got Nikola. This stock has been going hand in hand with NIO. When people talk about NIO, they talk about Nikola. However, NIO is a much better company than Nikola. If you're going to focus on one of these two, I would focus on NIO way before I give any consideration to Nikola. Nikola has got a relationship going on with GM, but that's not the only relationship it's got going on. It's got some weird stuff going on with the CEO. This is not the space for it. Nonetheless, it poses a lot of headline risk. So you got this with this declining trend line, it's showing in price. This is not a stock that you want to be in. Even if this bounce over the last 2 days holds, and yes, it's on incredible volume. In fact, the volume over the last month, even though it's been for worse, has been huge. There's a lot of emotion in this stock, but there's also a lot of resistance overhead. Guys, the headline risk by itself is worth staying away from. But even at that, you have the 200-day moving average. You have price level resistance at $30. I don't want anything to do with this stock. Moving on. And before I forget, make sure you join my YouTube channel membership. Man, this is a really great program that I have that takes you above and beyond the videos that I do each week, 2 a week. And on top of those videos, it's going to provide you with market analysis updated twice during the trading week. Also, if you want even more of an experience, you can get all of my FANG research plus Microsoft plus Tesla. The FANGs include Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google. You get all of that updated each week. Plus, you can also get my watch lists and all the charts that I find exciting and interesting each and every day. Now, how about this Niu Technologies? I don't even know if I'm saying it right. I don't listen to CNBC to get my cues from them, so I'm just gonna tell you how I'm reading it on the charts. I care about the technical analysis, not the pronunciation. But you've got this huge run up from April, made an amazing run, going from like $6 all the way up to $26, and then it's been in this like forever bull flag going all the way back to July. And now listen, I wouldn't typically call these kinds of patterns where it just keeps staying in this chop a bull flag, but it's held on to most of these gains, which is really, really impressive. So I got to give it some credit there. And then today it's up 12%. Now that makes it a little bit harder after this kind of a gain to get long on it. Not because it's not setting up technically, but because where do you put the stop loss at a reasonable price? At this moment, maybe $18, but that's too much for me. You're talking about 15% or so of a stop loss. I don't want to take that on. That's too much risk, because then I need at least a 30% gain in order to get a 2-for-1 return, and that's really asking a lot out of any stock without there being a significant pullback that tests your will on a trade. But yes, I'm going to call this a bull flag pattern. You have two ways to look at it. You have a declining trend line off of the July highs. That's been broken. Very, very nice move today. But I would actually say, look at this little slightly declining price level resistance here. It forms very nicely off of the August highs. This is where I'd want to get in. But what I want to see first before I get into it is not another face ripping rally like what we saw today. I want to see some consolidation. I want to see like maybe 2, 3, ideally maybe 4 or 5 days of where it consolidates right below this breakout level. Gives us a little bit of a better idea of where we can make our stop loss tighter, so that when it does break out, we're not risking a ton of money if the trade goes wrong. So on this trade, I'm looking for an entry price around $21.90, but again, I want a little bit of consolidation there. I want it to digest the moves from the last 3 days because they've been significant, and then I want it to break out. Now, if it breaks out before that happens, just be patient. Maybe it has to come back down again, and if it doesn't, wait for it to set up again. Give you some more consolidation before you get in on that next move higher, because risk management is everything in trading. And that's why in video after video after video, I tell you, always, always, always manage the risk. If you don't, you're not going to stay in this business for very long. Yes, you may have a big trade here and a big trade there, but in the end, you're going to have that one trade that wipes out all of those profits, and I don't want that. It's about managing the risk on every trade, because it's one trade that can completely wipe you out, and I don't want it to be NIO, I don't want it to be Nikola, I don't want it to be NIO Technologies, and I don't want it to be Tesla. What I want you to do is to go to every trade with the same enthusiasm of managing the risk as you have for wanting to make profits on a trade. Now the final one I'm going to get into is Li Auto. Am I saying that one right? I don't know. It looks like I'm saying it right. There's not a lot of price history, as you can tell by a lot of the black space on this particular chart, but it has technically been consolidating since the start, but it's still not enough for me to want to take a long position on it. Not over NIO and not over NIU. This stock would be my third choice. The worst one would be Nicola. I don't want anything to do with Nicola. But what I would do, and I've done videos on this, check out my snowflake video that I've done in the past. It actually details how I approach stocks that have just recently undergone their IPO, about not buying them at first, but giving you about 6 to 12 months before you finally get into a trade, because it usually drifts lower over time. I'm not saying that there isn't an ultimate trade to be made here. Let it come back some first, because we don't have enough price history to note, are we getting in at a good price? Are we getting in at a fair value? Is there really a trading edge here? Because there's just not enough candle bars to make that decision. The best I can give you is maybe this is a double bottom, but I couldn't tell you where it even confirms that, because it's just an absolute mess so far. Traders got in at 15 and they ran it up to 24, and then it pulls right back down. I don't know what I'm looking at here. And if I don't know what I'm looking at, most traders from a technical standpoint does not know what they're looking at here. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying I've seen enough of these charts to know when there's an edge and when there's not. There's no edge here. I haven't dabbled much in a lot of these electric stocks right now. I know they're really popular. The battery technology, battery day. Is Tesla going to be included in the S&P 500? Oftentimes the hype doesn't match the reality. So I don't like to get caught up in the hype, because oftentimes in the stock market, it's going to leave you disappointed. But on these stocks, they're starting to show some opportunities to get long on. Like I told you, I just got long on Tesla. Whether or not that trade works out is going to largely depend on the stock market, how the discretionary sector does, how does the auto industry do, how does this electric technology and battery stocks perform, and then that's all going to weigh in on how Tesla does. But for now, I like the edge in that stock, but I also like the edge in NIO and in NIU. They're both setting up nicely, and I would stay away from LI, and I'd definitely stay away from Nikola, NKLA. That thing looks like an absolute dumpster fire. Stay away, guys. If you like this video, I encourage you to smash that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, because when you do, you're going to be notified when I make more of these videos. I do about 2 of them a week. I'm here to give you the best technical analysis on YouTube. I want to make sure that you're educated, that you understand the risks in trading, and that you're managing your trades the right way. Now let me know down in the comments below, are you long on any of these stocks that I've just mentioned? And if so, which ones are you long on? Which ones are your favorite? Which ones are you stalking to maybe get into an entry on? Let me know down in the comments. Let me know what you think about this video. Thank you, and God bless.